As always, timestamps exist in case you just want to skip forward. Otherwise, I'm here doing my best. Again, just do what you do, but you can raise your aptitudes if you want to win with other Musume, especially if you built yourself. There's supposed to be other things I was supposed to say, but I forgot. So obligatory. And actually, no. You know what? We'll go with anyone that we haven't done. We'll do Gold Chip last. We'll do Gold Chip last. I don't remember what I've done to myself. So, yeah, let's just do this. Actually, that doesn't count, does it? No, it does not. I'm going absolutely crazy. Wow, it's been a long time since I've done this properly. Anywho, say, we have a Sprint Oguri Cap, we have a Sprint someone else, and Silent Suzuka, so we'll do those for now. But, yeah, whether or not we'll win against Taiki Shuttle, you should. Basically, if you outstat the rival, there aren't a lot of other variables. That's by far the biggest variable to make sure you get. And I really was supposed to mention something else, and I really forgot to take notes. But now that we've already committed to the run, hey. Also, this is our Oguri Cap. I forgot to show you, but not really too much to look at. Again, if you see any skills that don't look right, it's because I was trying to survive. I was trying to make sure I survived the goal races, because that's probably the most quote-unquote complex thing to do when you are making an Musume that is not for an aptitude that she is not accustomed with, because you have to also win your goal races while trying to set up your stats for races outside of the scenario mode, basically, which isn't the hardest thing to do. It's just there's RNG on top of that. But I will admit that I have not done this before, so there's nothing much else to say. If I remember anything else I wanted to say, I'll mention it later. But for timestamp's sake, oh my goodness, I had two things I really wanted to mention, and I forgot both of them. My goodness, this is what I get for not taking notes before the race. I'm also Pace Chaser, right? Please tell me I'm Pace Chaser. That would be what I wanted to make my Oguri Cap, even though that can sometimes ruin Triumphant Pulse. If there's anything else, we can talk about that. So again, Triumphant Pulse, if you pass the Wisdom check, which I've talked about many times before, then you should see it proc at 200 meters if you are anywhere from 2nd to 5th, I believe. Again, I'm saying this off the top of my head. I can just look it up on my own. But as we get into the final spurt here, if you pull out to first, usually we're going to win anyway. But sometimes if other girls behind you proc their skills, then that's when you kind of not regret you not using Triumphant Pulse, but it would be nice. Otherwise, usually this is what you see. Taiki Shuttle, if Taiki Shuttle doesn't proc any skills here, yeah, we're definitely just going to take this away. So, Pace Chaser life, Front Runner life. Not that those are the easiest styles to run. They're certainly less difficult at the moment, in my opinion at least. But, you run into less problems with RNG. And I think from what I know now, for some reason I thought I was going to get other star pieces. I'm going absolutely crazy. But, as we move on here, I forgot what I was going to say. Gosh, me, why do I do this to myself? I think this Silent Suzuka is the other one. I don't recall if there's a better one. I don't think there is, though. Yeah, it would have to be one of these two. Now, actually, it's this Silent Suzuka because the extra sprint aptitude. Our power isn't great, but we don't need power to be all that high. I forgot to look at the Silent Suzuka here. We can look at it right as we enter the parfait screen. I'm just going to assume I'm going to be at a negative mood. Okay, we're not. We're good. So, literally and figuratively. But I have to look at the stats and skills afterward. Again, that's not any much... I'm not supposed to be parfaiting here. It's not any different from when you see all the King Halo Legend races, but if you're already watching here and you haven't watched those, just I can show you the stats and skills here. Again, nothing too ridiculous. I took Breath of Fresh Air because it's the only thing I had. I was not using the... I was not using Super Creek, obviously, otherwise I would have just taken Swinging Maestro, unless you just get unlucky and you don't get it during the scenario mode, which doesn't happen often, but it can happen. And so the next best thing is Breath of Fresh Air. Again, let's beat it over the head again, especially since I looked this up. If you proc Breath of Fresh Air before your first 200 meters, you are losing HP, essentially. But better to have a chance at getting stamina back than not at all. And on that note, we can look at where specifically we proc Breath of Fresh Air again. And it's not going to help for this legend race, but just keep it in mind before we hit... If we proc Breath of Fresh Air before the first 1,000 meters, even though I don't think this counts, but if you proc it in the final leg at this version of the game, it doesn't do anything either. Well, I think it's before the last spurt and not the final leg. I can't remember. One of those two. Basically, you don't want to be proccing skills around the final leg, and definitely not after the last spurt until changes to this version of the game are implemented. And that usually comes with mechanics anyway, so hey. But unless something completely weird happens, we should stay ahead. I think it's just... What's her name who's up front? It's not Taiki Shuttle, and Taiki Shuttle is too far back. In fact, she's even being blocked, so... Block gaming. But yeah, there's no way this, the other Musume here is gonna catch up. She's just... she's not Taiki Shuttle stat, basically. She doesn't have the stats of Taiki Shuttle. And we're too far for it. And yeah, the straight here is only at the end, but recovery skills are not going to do anything because, specifically, I should mention it if for no other reason. And if I get this wrong, someone please correct me, but... yeah, during the final spurt specifically, your Musume does not take into account any recovery skills that she uses. So, I mean, that's all I really have to say. That's... She doesn't adjust her speed even if she procs recovery skill. It stops her from going kaput at the end of the race, but in terms of how you're not going to accelerate anymore, and that's the mistake I made before to correct myself. But I feel like I was supposed to look at something else, but I didn't. If nothing else, well, again, this is my gold chip. I didn't show you the card, I really just show you the cards, but I keep forgetting as I enter the race here, so... Again, at this point, it's just for vanity. I just want as many trophies with gold chip as possible. Not that that means anything, because if nothing else, a lot of the races are RNG anyway, so it's not like it really matters. If all you need to do for anyone who's a free-to-play, you just need to win once. But, oh, that's what I want to say. So, again, just a reminder that I am completely free-to-play. Now, completely doesn't count if I'm just going to even put it out there. If I buy a skin that does nothing for in-game gameplay, I'm just going to call myself just a regular free-to-play. Complete free-to-play, even though we shouldn't need a definition for this, means you haven't spent any money. But I will spend money if it's just a skin. Again, I do want to support a game. That's how you support games. But by now, I'm just living the life of not spending any money for any in-game... Pretty much advantages. They are advantages objectively, right? But as long as we're not blocked here, we should be able to pull forward ahead, even with Taiki Shuttle ahead. Although I don't see Taiki Shuttle anywhere. She had to swing out to the outside. If we sneak through the inside, though, we should win. Yeah, we should win. So, yeah, as we pass over here, even though our acceleration... Actually, no, our acceleration is higher, so we accelerate faster anyway. Even if late surgers have a bit of an edge on max target speed otherwise, but yeah. Dropkick me. So yeah, nothing really much else to say. If nothing, oh, that's what I wanted to say at the beginning. I'll mention it next time on the third day as well, and from here onward. But yeah, these races just exist for data, even though you have all the data you need elsewhere as well. Here you're actually at least seeing other gameplay experiences, or if nothing else, you just want to see what someone is like trying to suffer, forcing Musume into races that they're not built for. But again, I'm not doing anything amazing. This should be like, this is how you want to try and structure your Musume if you're trying to force something for whatever reason. But yeah, without further ado, if you have anything to say, questions, comments, concerns, corrections to what I've said, please let me know. I'm always interested in learning. I'm not someone who has the most knowledge, even though I've been looking up a lot of, not spreadsheets, but definitely documentation on sources that are much more well-knowledge about Musume than I am. But yeah, without further ado, we're at the end screen here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye!